Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have everybody here. So thank you all so very much for coming along. So, what is today? What are you going to learn today? Today, I will my my vision for today is to blow what you believe to be true out. Imagine one of those dandelions, no, one of those feather things that you blow and all the little bits go flying off. If I can disrupt your thought pattern to start to believe in something different, if I can disturb your thought pattern to make you question what you've believed to be true up until now, if I can disturb your thought pattern enough for you to actually start to believe that you can have a different experience in life, if I can disrupt your thought pattern to make you question why you've lived your existence the way that you have up until now. And alongside that, if I can disturb your thought pattern enough for you to actually start to think, maybe I can. Maybe I can. Maybe I can have the money. Maybe I can have the love of my life. Maybe I can have the career. Maybe I can spend more time with the kids and not have to work as much. Maybe I can make my network marketing business more. Maybe I can get an income from that that's more than my current income. And here's the other thing. I want you to know that you don't need to have this or that. You can have this and that. So that's my goal for today. That's my goal to show you, to disturb your current thought pattern. So let me share a little bit about you. And I'm not going to go into a big spiel because I find that boring when people do that. But as we go on throughout this training, I will be sharing stories and I will be sharing what's happened to me, because it's all very well me going into a book and saying this is what they've said and this is what you do. And I find that can happen a lot when you're studying a strategy, because it's like somebody has used somebody else's strategy and said, right, now this is what you've to do. Manifestation works a bit differently. I have manifested some absolutely stonking things, but you will learn that I have also manifested some absolutely horrific things. And I want you to experience what I went through, because then you will either be able to maneuver through certain experiences in your life, knowing something different and why you're experiencing them, rather than maybe taking yourself down a road that is going to lead you, down a path that you don't want to be on. And I have also manifested some pretty amazing things in my life. But I don't have the normal story that many people have, the rags from to riches story. Mine's is upside down. So I had it all. I had, and like this is even before I was really a conscious manifester. As I was an unconscious manifester, which you might be able to relate to that, where you're manifesting, you believe that you manifest everything in your life, but you're not doing it consciously yet. It might even seem like an amazing idea. And you're like, yep, I really want that. I really want to live my life like this. And you may think that's what you're doing already, but there's so much of the negative, so much of the lack still coming in, so much of what you don't want. There's more of that coming in than there is of the things that you do want to come in. Yeah, I can see some heads nodding here. And then, so at that point, you're still an unconscious manifester, because you're not consciously bringing in what you consciously desire: the money, the job, the career, the business, the love, the health. So when we start to understand and start to implement some changes into our lives, we can then start to consciously manifest. So I was an unconscious manifester for a long period of time. Even prior to work, before working with Bob Proctor, I was an unconscious manifester. I had read The Secret and I thought, what an amazing way to live. This is what I've been searching for. You see, I've always known there was something different. I didn't always believe that life was to be living in lack, and life was, to do things that you don't want to do. The second day in my first job, I sat like this. Oh no, oh no, is this what I have to do for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not? And I even asked my mum that, and she pretty much went, well, yeah, buckle up, Buttercup. So I soon began my life like that, and then I found myself swapping jobs fairly frequently because it was almost like I got bored. I'm just like, I don't want to live like this. Right, okay, what I'll do, I'll get another job because this obviously isn't the right job for me because I'm not meant to feel like this. This doesn't feel right because I'm miserable. And it seemed that everybody around me was happy or content. So I thought I must be in the wrong job. So I moved from job to job, and I always went for something quite extreme. I ended up working in London. So I moved from Scotland and went to work in London for a period of time. Didn't like that. And then I came back and I began, I began building a life again in Scotland. And I had a career within human resources, but I was never happy. I was never content. And then I I had a marriage that I believed was with my best pal. I believed we loved each other. I believed that we were relatively happy. I had we had oh gosh, together we had a beautiful house, like a beautiful house. We had all the mod cons. We had the cars, we had the clothes, we had the most amazing holidays, the most amazing holidays. And on the surface, we had it all, but I was still quite unhappy. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't living my life the way that now that I understand it, my soul desired. My soul desired so much more. And therefore, that's when, like from memory, that's when I started to manifest the things that I didn't want. And that was where my riches to rags tale began. Because I went from we had a good income, we were building a property portfolio, but we both worked a lot. We both worked a lot. That was one of the key things that we got out of bed for. Because I had then left my career in HR and I retrained to be a dog groomer. I had my own dog grooming business. So I was either grooming dogs, I was either working part-time in in a beauty salon because I'm a trained beautician. I had network marketing. We had the property business, and my now ex-husband had a number of jobs. So we were working a lot, but we thought that was success. And now when I look back, I'm just like, oh my gosh. So this is when I started to unconsciously manifest because I knew I wanted more. I knew I wasn't happy, and my soul was desperately unhappy. My soul was desperately craving for more. So I started a course with one of the consultants with Bob Proctor. And then life since then has just been a big roller coaster. And as we go on, I will share more with you about my story. I don't want to bore you because it's like, although it's interesting listening to other people's stories, I don't want to go on and on and on and on. I do have an interesting story to tell, and I will share more with you. But when it comes to manifesting, this, what I'm sharing today, is not necessarily for the person who has no knowledge about manifesting, who maybe doesn't even understand or even believe that there's a universe, God, source, creator, who maybe hasn't come across terms like energy and or energetics, manifestation, law of attraction. This is more in depth. I don't believe manifestation is hard. It's not hard. Actually, putting it into practice, practice is where we as adults generally fall down, and we have manifestation. For me, is more about finding yourself. It's more about ascending to a higher level of consciousness. It's more about understanding the ego and how you have lived up until this moment in time. It's more about understanding who you really are and bringing that part of you alive. Many of us will be living from ego. I mean, I'm talking 97 to 98% of us will be living from our ego. And that's something that we learn. Because when we were born, let's go back. Let's go back in evolution. When we were born, we were all born equal. We were all born with the same gifts. Granted, there are a few people who are born differently, but they are few and far between. I'm talking people who were born with extra Y chromosomes, who were born with some sort of deficiency. I am not physically, but in their mind, not even mentally. I'm talking in their mind, in their makeup, in their brain. But generally speaking, right, we are all born with the same skills, with the same assets, with the same. We all have the same. How we then grow up and how we become who we are is what changes. What changes is our upbringing, our parents, and how we learn from them, what they taught us. But again, generally speaking, all parents are teaching their children what they were taught by their parents, and their parents were taught by their parents. And this goes up to 14 generations. And generally worldwide, that is how we are all fairly similar. That's why we're all a nation of, we all go to school, and at school we all learn exactly the same thing, as well as learning how to form our personality. We form our personality from round about the age of 4 upwards. We start forming our personality. But here's the thing: you form your personality based on what other people have thought, said, spoken, behaved around you. You will, your personality is formed of a contribution of looking and observing your parents and peers and friends, extended family, teachers. We observe them. That's why we have a lot of habits that are the same as our parents. Went, oh, isn't that cute? They've inherited the way that I walk. No, they haven't inherited it. They've learned it. We'll tell you a funny story. I have my big toes kind of curl up the way, so they kind, instead of going like this, they kind of this part here turns up. And many years ago, I said to the chiropodist, "Could you straighten my toes?" And we got into this long discussion, and I said, "Why have I got them? My mum has them." And I said, "So have I inherited her toes?" And he went, "No, you've learned to walk the same way that your mother walks. And instead of walking from this joint here, I actually walk from this joint, which is why that toe turns up." And that's exactly how my mum walks. So we think we've inherited, and you will have inherited some of the things from your parents, but we also inherit them by watching, observing, listening, and using all our 5 senses. We also form our personality based on what people have said to us. Susan, you're no good at reading. You'll never be good at English because you're not very good at reading. Susan, your French is terrible. You will never be able to speak French. In fact, Susan, you're just absolutely, you're not academic at all. I don't know how you're going to get by in life. So that was the personality I formed. And just recently, I found some of my old report cards, and on the report cards, it said that Susan is extremely shy, very conscientious, and very caring. but very shy. So I grew up with that persona that I was very shy, didn't speak much, didn't say anything. In fact, I think some of my teachers even thought probably at some point I was mute because I didn't say anything, didn't want to be noticed. Because as far as I was concerned, based on what people were telling me, I was too tall because I'm 5'10" and I was tall in my class. I've always been in a larger size body. And I had a chest. I needed to wear a bra before a lot of my school friends. And I was this shy, unintelligent, larger girl. Why the hell would I want to be seen? Because I was getting told all of these things external to me. And I believed them, because why wouldn't I? Because these were people that were older than me, that were maybe even the same age as me, but these were people, and I was like, all right, okay, so what they're saying, that must be who I am. I didn't use my own mind, my own thoughts and beliefs, because yes, I was younger and I was trying to form all these beliefs. So I was listening to other people and saying, all right, so they've said that I'm really shy, right? I must be, that's it, I must be really shy. The thing is that starts from the age of like 4, and it never really stops. Yes, we form our personality, but even like, as you're growing up and in your 20s and your 30s, your 40s and beyond, we're still living our life based on the external world and what that thinks of us, and what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. My laptop's going to die. We base everything in our life on the external world. So why am I telling you all this? Why is this relevant? Because when we're in the world of manifestation, one of the key things is, and I hear this a lot, and this is also part of my story, is we are using our focus to focus on what is just now. We're using our focus on what we're experiencing right now. So if you're experiencing a lack of money, you're focusing on that. I don't have enough. I can't afford this. How am I going to pay the bills? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Now, based on experience, you're like, how am I going to pay the bills? Because money never comes in, and I don't know how to earn more. And what we're trying to do is change that. We're trying to change it. But here is the thing, you're trying to change something that's already been created. You created that. You created. Now, I might talk a little bit more about creation, but I'm going to assume for this moment in time that you know how creation is formed. It's by you. So when you're trying to change your situation of I don't have enough money, you're trying to focus on what's already been created using your thoughts. Your thoughts, behaviors, belief systems created that situation that you're in right now. It's already done. Can't be undone. We can change it. We can change what happens in the future, but what you're experiencing right now cannot be shifted because it's here, it's formed. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this changing matter with matter. Now, here's an example. When me and my ex-husband were looking at buying more properties, we were like, okay, we need more money. How are we going to get more money? So we used to go and have this big whiteboard, and we'd say, right, if we stop spending as much on food every month, then we'll be able to save £100 a month. And then if we cut back on petrol, we could save £50 per month. And then if we don't go to the gym, there's another £100 a month. Okay, so there's £250 a month, right? So over 12 months, that will add up to, let's just say £1,500. And then over 5 years at that, it will be a lot of money. Let's just call it 10,000. So in 5 years' time, we'll have 10,000. But you see, what we were doing was trying to change the current situation to make the situation different. We were trying to change what is and trying to manipulate that. But that is actually what we were actually doing there, was saying that there isn't enough, that there's not going to be any more. In fact, we did even factor in when, if my husband was going to get a pay increase, oh, we might get 3% this year, and what if we do this, and what if we do that? But what we're actually doing was trying to change something that already is. It's like this pen already is. I can't change the makeup of that pen. I can't change, you know, that formation because that has already, it's here, it's matter, it's dense energy. But this is how we normally go about changing our lives. We're in a position where we're in the contrast. I want more money. So how am I going to get more money? Right, do you know what? I'm going to sell the pen. I'm going to sell this pen. I'm going to sell my AirPods. I'm going to sell my phone. And we're trying to use dense matter to change dense matter. Now, Dr. Joe would say that that's exactly what he would call it. You're trying to change matter with matter. You're trying to sell your phone for £50 so that you can, pay a bill. Actually, creation, when we understand it, comes from within. We wouldn't be flying to all places all over the world, destinations unknown, without thought. We wouldn't have the phone, the mobile phone, without a thought. We wouldn't have that pen without a thought. Creation starts within. Everything that is here in our world as dense matter came from the mind. The plane didn't just boom. Somebody woke up and look, oh my God, there's a plane outside my front door. We didn't just wake up and think, oh my God, there's a phone. Somebody created that. And the way that creation works is you co-create with God, source, universe, creator, whatever you want to refer to it as. I had a problem at one point saying God. I'm over that now. I had to get over it in order to manifest more, in order to manifest bigger, in order to understand the process more so that I could then start to experience more. So generally what we try to do is change our external world by changing our external world. And this is where we start coming into stress, worry, fear, and doubt. This is where we start to experience suffering because we soon realize, and what we're trying to do is change matter, which is really flipping hard, really hard. And then what we're actually doing is working against the universal laws by saying that there's not enough. Because you're trying to change something that was already created. Actually, the way to do this and the way to manifest is to think from the end. So let's go back to the place where you want more money. And instead of looking at your situation and focusing on the situation, oh my gosh, I've not got enough, I've not got enough, I've not got enough, what am I going to do? And we come into that place where we're suffering, where we are experiencing anxiety, we're experiencing lack, we're having sleepless nights, we're not eating properly, and then we're starting to hold on to things because we're so fearful that we're going to lose more. When we're in that place, we're not going to manifest anything apart from more of what we have. Which is why we often get stuck in a rut. Have you ever been stuck in that rut where you're just like, I just can't see a way out. I just don't know how this is all going to change. I just don't know how I'm going to get more money. And there's a few things that I want to highlight to you here. First of all, you're using your intellectual mind to try to manifest something. Your intellectual human mind was never, ever, ever, ever designed to create, ever. So you're trying to use your mind to go, how am I going to make this? How am I going to do this? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Your mind's like, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't know what she wants. I don't know how to serve her. I can't do this. This isn't what I'm here for. And it starts throwing out things like, oh, remember last year when you sold your telly? Let's sell your telly again. And then you're like, well, I don't have my flipping telly, so I can't sell it. Okay, and your mind's like, right, I don't know how to help her, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to do. Why don't we go and look in the car? Remember that time that you found money in the car? Remember there's money in the car, so you desperately run out to the car and pray to the love of God that there's like £300 sitting in there. Your intellectual human mind was never, ever, ever designed to create. It was designed to experience your life. You are a spiritual being in a human body with an intellectual mind. It was never designed for you to create. Creation of like that, the phone. The human mind didn't just come up with that. That had to have help. because your human mind was never, ever designed to create. And that's where a lot of us go wrong, is we're using our intellectual mind to try to do something it's not meant to do, that it wasn't designed to do. The second thing is that when you're trying to change matter with matter, you're trying to change it because you're in contrast. So you're in a place where you're like, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. And that's where your focus is. And whatever you give focus to enlarges. Where your attention goes, something grows. I forget what the saying is. Where your focus goes, attention grows, something like that. So you're giving focus to the contrast. I don't have enough, so I want more. And it's a need. It's not even a want, it's a need. I don't have enough money. I need money. I need money. I need money. And the universe will just respond, go, yeah, you need money. Yes, you need money. Yes, you need money. Yes, you need money. Because wherever you're giving focus and your energy, whatever you're reacting to, is what you will receive more of. Irrelevant if it's good, bad, or indifferent. The universe does not judge or think, I don't think you do. I don't think you want less. I think you want more. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put money in your bank because I think that's what you want. I think that's it. The universe will just say you need. Okay, there you go. You can have need. You need. You come as need. We will give you need. You come as desperate. We will give you more things to be desperate for. The universe is very basic. There's no hidden messages there. Do you know, I've seen some funny things on TikTok, and one of them is like, when uh, a man will say to a woman, "Are you all right? You seem a little bit angry or annoyed." No, nothing. And she's slamming the kitchen cabinets and she's throwing things and all sorts. She's like, "No, I'm nothing wrong with me." The universe doesn't work like that. Thankfully, the universe has no hidden agenda. When you are focusing on something, the universe will just give you more of what you're focusing on. So if you're in that place where you don't have enough money and you would want more, let's call that in contrast. You're in contrast of what you do want. So how do you get out of that? How do you not focus on that? Because the more you focus on it, you will get more of it, which is why we end up in the same situation over and over and over and over every flipping month for years on end. So if we focus on what it is, the lack of money, and it just keeps happening, then what if we start focusing on what we do want? What if we turned our focus and didn't pay any attention to current circumstances because that's from the past? What you're perceiving just now, the lack of money, the lack of love, the lack of health, the lack of abundance, or an abundance of lack. But whatever you are experiencing was from the past thoughts, past beliefs. And if you continue to look at that and focus on that and give it energy by, oh my God, I'm fearful, I'm so fearful, because energy is energy. And if you're given that, you're getting more of that. And you with me on that, because I know that you've experienced that. You have to agree with that because that's what's happening. So what if then we can ignore current circumstances and start to build a different reality, but have it now? You see, your current experience of being in contrast, of having no money, you would have experienced that in your imagination a day, a week, a year, 2 months, of whatever ago. So you already experienced it in your imagination by going, oh my God, it's the first of the month. Oh my God, it means I know by the end of the month I won't have any money. I won't have any money. I've never got any money. By the time it comes to the 20th of the month, I've never got any money left. So you've experienced the 20th of the month in your head already. You've already experienced that. The 20th of the month comes, and because you've given that so much focus, going, oh, the 20th of the month, oh, crikey, it's the 14th, oh God, I've got 6 days to go, I've got 6 days to go, and then that's me, I've never got any money on the 20th. By the 20th, I'm always skint. I really want it to be different, but that, so you're already experiencing it. The 20th of the month comes, and guess what? Guess what? Look at what you've manifested. So what if we could start to say on the first of the month, okay, the 20th of the month, there's going to be money in my account. There's always money in my account. Money will always be there. I believe that. And I'm going to now act, and I'm going to be as if that money is always going to be there. And I'm going to focus on the 20th of the month and money always being in my account. In fact, I'm in overflow in my account. There's always money sitting in my account. Always. There's an abundance of it because money's everywhere. Money's energy. What if we started focusing on what we do want? Because we know when we focus on what we don't want, that it just reoccurs all the time. You see, unless we start changing now, then our future is always going to be the same. Unless we start changing how we think and feel now. Remember, the first of the month, you're like, I've got no money. And then by the 20th of the month, you're like, well, told you so. So whatever you're thinking now is what will going to happen later on. But what we want to do is to bring the future into now. So that when the time it gets into the future, you're already experiencing it. Is this making sense for you? Yeah. So we can't focus on what is. Circumstances don't matter because it's from the past. It's from past beliefs, thoughts, experiences, past wishes, past unconsciously manifesting. It's from the past. So if we can take, and the thing is like we've said, that can't be changed. It is what it is. It's already been created. It's finished. It's done. And it's not, like I saw somebody would ask a question, but that doesn't stop what's happening now. No, but we can't. What's happening now just is. But here's the other thing I want you to consider. What if you had the belief that if you started changing your thought system and started behaving as if you had the money, as if you had an abundance of money, an overflow of money, and what if you also started to believe that that could happen extremely quickly, as in a matter of hours, that your money situation changed in a matter of hours? And to be fair, it can, because we can change our perception about things. But what if we believed that, just within a matter of days, our money situation could start to improve? You see, whatever you believe is what you will get. That's why we always say that it starts with thought. It starts with a thought, because it does. But we have to be mindful about what we are thinking. But true manifestation comes from going into the future and living it now. What do you want to do? How much money do you want to have in your bank? And as long as we believe it, and as Neville Goddard would say, the only way that you can fail is if you don't believe. So I don't like putting a time limit on things. I don't like saying by Friday I'm going to be a millionaire, because the universe doesn't work in timing. And I might not believe it by Friday, but if I believe, then it will turn up. And the more courage you have in your conviction, the quicker it'll turn up. So we don't need to be putting dates on. By Friday I want this, and by Friday I want that, because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're putting too much pressure on the universe, and when it doesn't come in, you're like, this is a load of bullshit. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. I did believe it. I did believe it. Neville Goddard would say from his book, The Power of Awareness, that the only way that you will fail to bring something into your realization is because you didn't believe it. So we need to take our focus off what's happening externally. The other thing that I wanted to speak to you about, and before we go on, I had a story I wanted to share with you, and I've completely forgotten what it was, because it would have helped you to understand all this. So when I was married and had all the money and the cars and the houses, but I was still deeply unhappy. So I was unconsciously manifesting that I would not have it all, because I wasn't grateful for what I had. And the energy that I had around it was probably quite arrogant at times, perhaps. So and because I wasn't happy and grateful, and I was trying to get more from changing external matter, I actually ended up losing it all. And even afterwards, when I became a consultant with Bob Proctor, so I mean, I worked with, the best of the best. I worked with Bob Proctor, became a consultant. Business was booming, booming. And I was using the material. And then it started to go a bit wrong. And I had, my bank account was quite nice. And then fear took over. There was lots of change going on in my life. I ended up leaving my house, selling my house, and living overseas. I ended up, I was still grieving for my marriage, which ended extremely suddenly. I was still grieving for that. I was grieving for me. I was grieving for a lot. I had a lot to grieve about. And I was also on my journey of healing. And when I talk about healing, I don't mean about like from the grief, I mean healing to a higher version of me, a higher self, to heal beyond my ego. And I was using manifestation wrongly. I'd moved, my confidence had hit rock bottom. I was so scared. I was terrified. I was on my own. And this is when I started to manifest unconsciously and consciously to lose everything. And basically that's what happened. So be careful where you place your focus. I share all of this with you because I believe in manifestation beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I believe that there is a lot of harm that can come off it as well. I believe there is a lot that can come, there's a lot of harm that is done in the manifestation world. Um, anyway, the other thing I want to talk to you about, to my time, is ego. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me and to ascend beyond a level of consciousness that wasn't serving me was to understand and transcend beyond the ego. I think understanding the ego and what its purpose is. The majority of us do work from our ego. That voice, that voice, Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul refers to it as your inner roommate. You can't do that, Susan. Susan, remember what that teacher said? That you can't read. So you're not intellectual. Remember, and remember that your mum said, that you were too tall. Even though she meant it in the best possible way. I don't even know if she said that to me. But I'm just giving you examples. So that inner roommate is what we listen to. That inner roommate tells us who we are. That inner roommate tells me how, why, when, and where. Let me let you into a little secret. That inner roommate isn't real. That inner roommate is a voice that your mind created. The ego was formed many years ago, and it was a form of security for us when we would maybe go out hunting for food and there would be bears. And the ego kept us safe from those bears. But nowadays in this, in society, we don't have bears when we go into the supermarket. So the ego keeps us safe, but more on a psychological level now. But actually, it's not keeping us safe, not in the way that we desire. So the ego is formed as part of the mind, and the mind is there because you're a human. You are not the human. You are not, I'm not Susan, the human. I am a star seed. I am spirit here in this body. I chose to come into this body. So I'm going to love and cherish this body. I chose to come into this body to experience life here on earth because there's no other way to experience it. And as part of this body, I was given a mind so that I could experience life. And the mind formed an ego. So, but I'm not my body. I'm a spiritual being. The ego and the mind are just part of the body. And when my body, when I die, when this dies, so does my mind and my ego. I don't. I will go and be a starseed again. I'll go back and be spirit. This body will die. My mind will die, and so will my ego. So why the heck am I listening to it? It's a voice. It's just a voice. It's a voice inside my head. It's a voice inside my head. And we created it. Like Susan created that ego based on what other people were telling her, based on her interpretation of the world at that point, based on perception. And it formed this ego. So when I say, do you know what? I think I want to be a millionaire. I want to experience that. My ego's like that. I don't think so, too. You can't even speak French. Remember that teacher said to you how stupid you were? Remember your mum. Remember what your dad said, and remember that friend of yours. And it starts doing things to keep you safe, to keep you stuck. It wants you to be stuck. It wants you to be stuck, but it's not your enemy. It's doing a job. Many people will hate upon the ego. The ego is part of you. It's doing a job. Just because it's not doing the job that we want it to do doesn't mean that it's not. It's actually a very, our ego does serve us. There are situations in life where your ego will serve you. I don't believe in dissing the ego. I believe that it is part of us. But when you start to operate from your spirit, when you start operating from source consciousness, from that energy, you can start to differentiate between your ego and that energy. And you can start to co-create with the universe, with God. You can start to co-create like that. You see, the world of personal development will have you believe that you're broken and that you need to fix yourself, and you might want to learn more and that you can do more, and then you might need to study more. Oh, you're broken. You're not, because you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your ego. You're not broken. We don't need to fix ourselves. And you get to create, even though you've got the ego going, but you can't even speak French. But I don't need to create from that. I don't need to create from that contrast place either that we spoke about earlier. I get to create from a different part because I know that that's all going on in them. My inner roommate's giving it all this. I don't need to focus on that. Remember when we spoke about where we're putting our focus? And if you're focusing on the contrast, then you're going to get more of the contrast. So I don't want to focus on what that ego is saying, because it's just a voice. It's not necessarily the truth. I'll decide what the truth is. I'll decide. I'll decide how much I want to. Does this make sense? Is this dropping for? Yeah. Okay. So you're listening to this roommate, you're focusing on the external, and you're just like, this is shit. What's the point in life? This is shit. But that's not how we create. That's not how we manifest. And this is why I wanted to go deeper with you, because manifestation, when I first started teaching manifestation as well, it was all about affirmations, and you must do this, and you must journal, and you must do that. Now, I still do all of that, but it's a different energy. This is an energetic world that we're living in. It's an energetic world. When I understood that, and when I started to really understand the energetics, and when I started to really understand what the ego was and how I have let it dictate to me my whole life, that's when the penny dropped. That's when the penny dropped. So that's the basics of manifestation, the way that I see it and the way that I have learned it and the way that I have went from riches to rags. And the way that I work every single day, the way that I operate, that I get out of bed. Sometimes I can wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm like that. Oh no, we're not in that place. I don't look at what's happening right now, because this is the past. And even when I could get to experience what I'm envisaging now, and I get to experience that, that could come into my reality tomorrow. The more that you do this work, the stronger the law becomes. The more that you start to engross yourself and understand, and you start to know, when you start to know that something's going to happen, it will come in so much quicker. So, what might take you a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, now, when you practice, and this becomes not even practice, when you live like this, when you decide that the 3D, just ignore it, I'm just going to go straight into 5D. When you start doing that and you start getting the energy, you start manipulating your energy in accordance with what it is that you desire. When you start doing that, your manifestations don't even have to take an hour. But it takes your practice, your knowledge, your knowing. That's what's taken me. That's where I think I dropped the ball. Intellectually, I knew my shit. I'd spent nearly 6 figures learning from the best fucking coaches that are out there in the manifestation world. But I was intellectually aware. Was I living it? No, because fear had engulfed me. Fear and grief had engulfed me to such a degree that I couldn't get out of it. I wouldn't even known at the time I was in it. I knew I was in it, but I was like, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. But it was too much for my nervous system. It was too much for my mind. But I know now, if I, so that if I knew then what I know now, we're all on a different journey. We're all on our own journeys. I now have so much confidence in changing my world, and I know. How do I know that? Because I have experienced it, because I have paid 6 figures. I say 6 figures. Yeah. I've spent almost 6 figures learning from the best manifestation coaches. And I'll tell you something, they all say the same thing in a different way, but there's always the same thing. And I know that manifestation works because I've manifested so much terrible crap into my life that there's no question manifestation works. Let me tell you though, I have manifested some amazing stuff. I've manifested my car, which was a Mustang, and there was none available. I have manifested speaking to my family again. Some of these things, I'm just like, well, they would have happened anyway. But I have manifested some pretty awesome things into my life. And I have people, I've manifested some absolutely incredible people into my life. So I know manifestation works, and I'm surrounded by some incredible people who manifest like this, because environment is everything. Environment is everything. Going forward, if you want to work with me, I have the Manifestation Hub Academy. It's 6 months being in this energy, so that you get to actually say to me, because you work with me, you get to say to me, I'm experiencing this, and I guarantee I'll call you out on your bullshit. Because as well as manifestation, it's about being a leader in the thought area. It's about leading you down a different path with your thoughts, leading you down to a different belief system. And this can all be done. 6 months is just the start of the journey. I think when you enter into this world of manifestation, of consciousness, of ego expansion, of pure expansion, you won't want to go back. You won't want to go back. There's no way, even of all the shit that I've created, I would go back. Hell no. That's why I keep going. I wouldn't want to go back. So when you come into this world, you come into this energy and you come into this space, you're just like, I'm not going back the way. You will want to keep going, moving and moving and moving and moving. So your first 6 months is just like, that's just the start. And we're going to we're going to do, you know, we're going to study books. Studying books is one of the best things that you will ever do in order to raise your consciousness, in order to understand, because once you can logically and your mind can start to understand and comprehend some of the things, boom, you'll just go, oh my god, I see what is happening here. You might even have a spiritual awakening. We don't know what's going to flip and happen. But 6 months with me, if you want to be in the Manifestation Hub Academy, then drop me an email or go into my inbox. So I'm so grateful that you've joined me here, and reflect on what's said. I hope that I have disturbed your thought pattern and made you question reality.